If you're a young man making between $1 and $500K a year, you are in one of the most dangerous financial positions ever. The reality is you're making enough money to look and feel rich, but at the same time, you're one bad injury or one bad month away from starting to lose it all. And your income for most of these people that are in these situations is not from anything stable. It's from them going out and earning it, which I very much so respect. And I've actually been in this position before. When I was 19, I built a window cleaning business that was doing $400K every 6 months, and we had a great margin on that. And I was the top sales rep in the company. So I was taking all the commissions, all of the profits, and I worked like half of the jobs too. So I understand what it's like, and there was all this pressure. The difference for me was I am extremely frugal. I don't really like spending money, and to be honest, like I was kind of worried taxes were gonna kill me, and I had all these dreams of like investing in properties or anything like that. Like I didn't even want to spend the cash. And I don't say that to sound impressive or at all. I'm just one of those finance nerds. But when I realized when I started working with clients who were my age, making a ton of money and wanted to live that lifestyle, I learned that there was a great balance that had to be met between the two. See, there's a big difference between what I call a width-driven entrepreneur and a narrow-driven entrepreneur. And I want to make it clear there's nothing wrong with either of these, and I am very width-driven when I actually think that being narrow-driven a lot of times is a way better life. So what do I mean? A width-driven entrepreneur is somebody that wants to build something very big. So something that's big enough to have finance, accounting, legal, HR, a sales team. Like they want to build a big company with a lot of infrastructure, that can do 8-9 figures a year, like that kind of business. Versus a narrow entrepreneur just wants to make a ton of money. They're not worried about a big liquidity event or building something to sell. The goal is to pocket a ton of cash and live the life that they want. Take the trips, buy the cars, everything like that. And being a narrow-driven entrepreneur, especially most of these guys are in sales, is really cool because all you have to do is sell, make a ton of money, and recruit people to come work for you. It's not that easy. However, it is a very simple path to success versus with the more width-driven side, there's so many moving pieces. I often question why I did it. I work with sales guys and a lot of times they'll be like, why don't you just go sell insurance? And I will be like, great question. However, in realizing that not everybody is like me and wants to be a big investor, business builder, whatever, people just want to be rich, I had to learn how to actually help these types of people. And I want to share with you some of the mental frameworks that I think through when helping people not just blow all their money. And on top of this, one framework that is extremely important in terms of how you're gonna approach growing wealth outside of just making a large income. So first, I wanna make a clarification. All the 3 mental frameworks that I'm gonna go through in this video, they all apply to narrow-driven entrepreneurs. So if you are somebody that wants to build a $100 million company, these tactics are not for you. These are for people who want to make a ton of money. Because when you're building a business, you really just need all of the cash on hand. Like you can't spend anything. You just need to put it all back into your business. Additionally, if you are a narrow-driven entrepreneur and you are watching this video, I want you to be very clear on something that you need to become an investor if you actually want to become wealthy. If you're going to decide, hey, I don't want to be a big business owner, that's fine, but you do need to become an investor and start making your money work for you. Otherwise, you're going to be 35 and still cold calling, 35, 45 and still knocking doors. So my number one personal finance rule for all of you guys watching this is almost never buy a car and just lease it. Now, if you are trying to live frugally, buy a car in cash for under $15,000. However, if you are like, I want to get the Mercedes, I want to get the BMW, I want to get the Lambo, bro, don't buy it. And I know you might think about the tax benefits. I know you might think about it's cooler to own it or anything like that. It doesn't matter. Don't do it. Here's why. 1, your income is way too volatile to be dealing with this. So you might have 3 down months. And if you have 3 down months and you have a car payment on your back, that is debt. You can't just cancel it. This is a lease. You can just get out of there. Now, obviously, sometimes there's contracts with leases, but the limit is usually 2 years versus you could be having car payments for 6 years. So it's super risky and there's no reason to add that debt into your life. 2, you are taking out debt on a depreciated asset. So just logically from a finance standpoint, I know this might not make a ton of sense to you, but when you are taking out debt, you have to pay interest on that debt, right? And so the goal is that you use debt to buy an asset that goes up in value more percentage points than the amount of interest that you are paying. The problem is when you're buying a car, you have to pay interest, so the percentage points are up on how much you have to pay, but the car goes down percentage points in value. So you're gonna end up paying like $90,000 for a $60,000 price tag car, okay? But when you go to sell that car at the end of 5 years, the car's only worth, say, $20,000. It's absolutely horrible personal finance. When you lease the car, you're actually making the dealership take on the risk and take on the depreciating value of that car, you don't have to deal with it. And on top of this, the third thing, most important, you're gonna want a new car in a couple years. So instead of racking up all of this debt on this car where you're like, oh, I still have to make payments on my old car, whatever, you might have a ton of money where you might not even feel that. You're just wasting money. So just lease the car and then 2 years later, go lease another car. It makes your life a million times better. And as a disclaimer, if you are leasing cars, it's really not a great personal finance move. However, I totally understand it from the perspective of, say, marketing, and you're like, dude, this car just makes me feel good. Like, I get that that might motivate you to go sell more. But my rule for all of this is that if you are going to lease the car, buy the car, you need to be buying a rental property. So my rule is 1-to-1. So if you are going to buy one car, lease one car, you need to be buying a rental property, you need to be investing in oil and gas, or you need to put a huge chunk of money in the stock market. Never spend more money on cars than you are investing. So if you spend a year, you make say 300 grand that year, and you're like, okay, I want to spend $24,000 on a car lease. That's great. You should be spending like $100,000 on a rental property before you even think about doing that. Or at least have the money budgeted out for both. Now let me address this. I know that you guys have heard the rule about the G-Wagon over 6,000 pounds and you can write it off in the first year. That is a separate situation. And I would say if you're making like over $500,000 a year, buying the G-Wagon, using debt and taking the huge tax write-off actually is a good move. 2, this is how you got to go about watches, expensive jewelry, and big purchases that are literally just flash. But you got to do these 3 things before you decide you're going to buy the watch. 1, you got to have at least $100K cash liquid in the bank. If you're going to buy a $30,000 watch, $40,000 watch, you better at least have $100K cash in the bank. That's not your investments. That's not your real estate portfolio. That's not your emergency fund. That's not your 401K. You have $100,000 of pure liquid cash sitting in your bank account. And if you want to go spend 10 grand on a watch with that amount of money, that is completely fine. 2, you need to have closed on a real estate deal this year, or at least be planning to do it. If you are willing to drop $30,000, $40,000 on a watch and you cannot invest in your first real estate property, you are absolutely screwing yourself financially. And we'll tie into the tax implications of this in a second. But it is super important to say, like, have your priorities straight. If you say, hey, I bought my first real estate property this year, I got 180 grand in the bank, I want to go treat myself to a $20,000 watch, go for it. But you need to have those 2 things at least done. The third thing is that your tax bill has already been optimized and handled. So what do I mean? If you're not working with a tax strategist when you're making over 300K, you're shooting yourself in the foot. But what you need to do is go invest your money into things that are tax favored. Now, this is not investment advice, this isn't tax advice, all that stuff, but my general standing, my rule for myself and what I generally tell my clients is to not go out and buy the watch until your tax bill has been handled. And what I mean by tax bill being handled is if you are sitting on, say, 200K cash, you made $300,000 this year and you're self-employed, you're gonna have a huge tax bill coming your way if you don't allocate that money the right ways. So 1, you need to spend money and hire a tax strategist. Okay, obviously that's self-serving, but it's just the truth. 2nd, you're gonna need to go out and invest in a 401K. You might need to buy a real estate property that'll get you tax benefits back. You might need to invest in oil and gas. You might need to buy a car. You might need to invest in your business, whatever. Talk through it with your CPA or your enrolled agent. But you need to have that conversation and get the tax bill handled. So that's what you need to do if you're gonna buy a watch. If you're gonna buy a watch, 3 things gotta pass the test. At least 100K cash liquid in the bank, you closed on a real estate property this year, and your tax bill is already handled and your money has been deployed into the investments. And as a note, no, you can't write off the cost of the watch. As much as I would love to take the tax deduction for buying a Rolex, it just isn't feasible. The IRS has given cases on this so many times. It doesn't matter if it's a marketing expense. It doesn't matter if you wear it to all of your business events. It's never a write-off unless you are literally in the business of buying and selling watches. 3, if you want to spend money on lifestyle stuff and you have all these things that are calling your name that you just want to blow your money on, my recommendation is pick 1. Or set yourself a specific amount that you're just saying, every month I'm going to blow this on lifestyle stuff. Because even though you're essentially saying, I'm going to waste all of this money, you're at least having a plan for how you're going to waste the money. But for me, I really like working out at a nice gym. So if it means I'm going to spend $400 on the Equinox membership, I might do that thing. Or I'm gonna say, hey, you know what, no matter what, I'm taking 2 vacations a year. Or I see people that really love the steak dinners. Okay, I'm gonna go out to X amount of steak dinners this month. However, put a limit on it. So if you're gonna say, hey, no matter what, I wanna do 2 $5,000 trips a year, and you're making 200 grand, do that, but then maybe don't go get the really expensive apartment. And then don't go spend the money on the car or buy a watch or go eat out every single night. Make the sacrifice, enjoy your life, but also put your investments first. With this, my last bonus fourth point of the day is do not buy your personal home, no matter what your parents tell you, no matter what you hear on TikTok, anything like that. Don't buy your personal home. You're not there yet. Your income is not consistent enough to do it, and it's not a good investment. How do you know if you're ready to buy a home? The point in which you're ready to buy a home is when you have income that has become stable, when you are young and you're making a ton of money from sales or from being an NIL athlete or something like that. You're not making a ton of money consistently. You're making it because of something that you're doing in the moment. It's not consistent. Then once it becomes consistent, meaning you have a business, you have passive income, things like that, save up a good chunk of cash so that way you can keep your mortgage payment down and go all out on the house. Likely gonna be not for a few years, okay? But just do it because you're spending your money to be happy. Don't view your personal home as an investment. The reality is it almost never is an investment. It's usually a pretty bad one, if at all. So don't do that. But when you're ready to just blow your cash on a personal home, that's great. You're almost better off investing in other properties and then just renting out your own space. Well, that's all I got for you guys. If you are a young sales rep or NIL athlete and you're making a few hundred grand a year and you don't know exactly what you're gonna do with your taxes, or you're working with your CPA, but you still feel like you're overpaying or you're not utilizing some of the strategies that you hear about. And on top of that, you don't really feel like your accounting and your bookkeeping is aligned with your investment strategy and things of that nature, and you want to work with somebody who really understands you, click the link in my bio at Shavlosky on all platforms and book a meeting with me today. It's completely free, and our firm is launching in July of this year. Right now, we are taking on 5 beta stage clients to help out and get the systems in place so that way once we do launch, we're ready to take over and help you guys grow your wealth. As always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.